The Tate Britain Gallery on Millbank in London, staging ground of the climate rush protest against BP's sponsorship of the Tate Galleries. With famous works of art defaced with scenes of oil pollution, the protesters explained that BP is sponsoring the National Galleries to make themselves look good, whilst at the same time causing massive environmental damage all around the world, notably with the Mexican Gulf oil spill. The hope is that their demonstration brings this form of hypocrisy to light.
So today we are outside the Tate Britain, which gets funding from BP, and it's also 1 year since the BP oil rig disaster in the Gulf of Mexico. And we basically just want Tate to give up the BP funding, while at the same time understanding that obviously the situation for arts organizations right now with the cuts is really difficult. And we feel that the Tate shouldn't have to go to companies which do such terrible things like BP. And so we're doing a tea party and an alternative art exhibition, which includes people who are devastated by the disaster, and hopefully to help some raise awareness about BP Greenwash and the arts cuts.
Yes, well actually I'm here today because I was invited by Climate Rush, which is an amazing organization that has really innovative and attractive ways for people to take action on the issue, on a number of issues, including the sponsorship of our cultural institutions by corporations like BP. So they invited me because I'm the lead person on a project called Facing the Gulf Portraits of Oil. And the project's main aim was to empower local people in the Gulf Coast to create portraits that we could submit to the BP Portrait Award at the National Portrait Gallery, which, like the Tate, is another institution that is taking the BP dollar. And we felt that it was important that there were faces of the Gulf at BP's big Greenwash event in association with the National Portrait Gallery. So basically what we did was I was lucky enough to find an amazing artist called Nick Viney, a UK artist. She agreed to come with me for no money, just expenses. We went to Grand Island, Louisiana, which was one of the places that was most affected by the oil spill, and we set up workshops with local people, 5 weeks, where they were able to create the portraits that they wanted that had some kind of connection in their mind with the oil spill. There was no political agenda. They could do whatever they wanted. They could be for, they could be against, and I don't see how you could be for the oil spill, but for the oil industry, and a lot of them are pro-oil industry, or believe that they are anyway. I think the main objectives of today are to engage people as they sort of unconsciously enter the cultural institutions that have been branded by corporations. It's not something that you even really notice after a while. So many of our public goods, our commons, have been branded. And it's very hard to find your way through that now. And it's very hard to even see it, which is, I think, means that they're winning. So it's important that people like Climate Rush come up with creative, fun, innovative, joyful kind of events that show alternatives, like this alternative art exhibition, which shows that we can have art without BP. Okay, it's on a slightly smaller scale, but it's still art, and it's important to us. It's our art, and it's our cultural institutions, and we need them, and we don't need BP's blood money for them. I think one of the reasons why this is so important is because as BP weaves its way, and other corporations weaves its way into the fabric of our lives, it's very hard for us to extricate ourselves and the things that are important to us from that fabric. And so as a result, we become paralyzed. We're conflicted. We don't know what to do. We say to ourselves, yes, BP really is a terrible, terrible company and should not be part of our lives. But this terrible bad thing is associated with something that is undeniably good, which is our art and our cultural institutions that we have paid money, in our tax revenues to support. So how do we separate those two? And we can't. The more they're in there, the harder it is to separate those two. So until it's made clear to us, then it's we remain paralyzed, and we need action now more than ever. So it's very important to start the process of getting them out of the institutions that make us strong.
A final message was prepared to the managers of the gallery. Then, the group marched straight for the main entrance, played on by the protesters' bard. Would their message be heard? They were stopped at the doorway by security, but one member was allowed to deliver the message to a representative of the gallery inside. The gallery's response to the protest was to say that it complies with all ethical policies it is bound by. Tobacco companies use greenwash such as this to gain respectability in a similar manner until they were banned by law from doing so. The protesters argue that a similar ruling should be applied to oil companies. Thanks for watching. If you would like to find out more about Climate Rush, please visit their website at climaterush.co.uk.